The final countdown.
All right, we are live. The Coin Vault crew back at it again with our guy, Crux of Crypto. How's it going today, guys? Another beautiful Thursday. One more day till the weekend. Maybe we get a dumpy weekend. That would be nice. I'd like to buy the frickin' dip. What's going on, guys?
Nice day in Scottsdale. We were just talking backstage about over-unders on how many times SGA is going to flop next time.
You're just bitter because your Pistons are out.
I got 9.5.
Nice. 9.5. I think you got it. I think you got it right there.
I'm more surprised how Cleveland's still in this thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's wild.
You're not allowed to mention that. No, Rue's here. We have certain rules. We're gonna talk about ISO 222 rules and compliance. Your compliance is you don't go there.
All right.
Well,
No
you know
Cleveland
what,
Browns,
though?
Cleveland.
It sets up a nice storyline for next year where Malik Beasley comes back to the Pistons and New York hopefully wins the title, and then Detroit can knock them right up the heck off their throne.
Man, that's a lot of, we talk about speculation. I will throw this out here, all right? I'll throw this out here. What more people should talk about is that the finals could very well be obviously San Antonio versus New York. I mean, I won't discount OKC, but I mean, that could happen. Let's also keep in mind the last team that New York, as in the Knicks, faced in the finals was San Antonio. So there's a little bit of like, yeah, they want to get the revenge after all these years, but it's totally different teams and whatnot. But I think it's all interesting. I love the Western Conference Finals. I love the Eastern Conference Finals. It has been extremely entertaining. We already had 2 overtimes in both. And, man, it's just it's been a real treat. It's been definitely a real treat, especially that game 1. Wemby, 41 points, 24 rebounds, 3 block shots. First player in history since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to put up those type of numbers at his age in like a conference finals or something like that. And that record held for over 50 years. So whether people like Wemby or not, because, it's not your team, you gotta give credit where credit's due, man. The guy is absolutely, like, his nickname, the Alien, I think that's well deserving. He's literally, yeah.
That Villanova crew, Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. I mean, they won, I think they won 2 titles in the NCAA, right? So might as well win a national.
Caruso was balling out in the third and fourth quarter yesterday.
Believe it or not, he's my favorite player on OKC, Caruso.
Yeah, he is. He's a sleeper.
Yeah, he plays with a lot of passion, extremely underrated player. And, his time in the G League, that guy's background, how he bounced. Anyway, we could talk all day long about some of this. What about the crypto? You guys put too much emphasis. I'm just playing. Anyway.
Couple super chats to get through. Beast Mode, what's up, buddy? Rob, can you comment on what's going on with Peak charts and project? Was thinking to sell and buy back on the pullback. Thoughts? Yeah, Peak was a gem that we dropped over on the Patreon. Again, it must have been 2023, I think. We've been accumulating Peak since then. Let me have a look at it.
Yeah, that's a deep in play, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we've been big on Peak for a long time. I'm going to also mention another gem that we've been accumulating for a couple of years now. I'm going to pull up the chart on that too, Plume, because it's having a monster run again today. Shout out to Underdog.
I was literally going to say that. I was literally going to say shout out to Underdog. I feel like every time somebody mentions the word Plume, Underdog Research or the Underdog Research channel, his ears just all of a sudden ring for no reason. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Underdogs.
Yeah, there's not a lot of real world asset plays, especially like the altcoins that hit a 500 mil plus TVL. Like they had a ton of TVL since the pullback. I get it. They're like on the website, the Plume's main website. It's probably about at 150. So there's definitely a pullback, but I think it's going to get back up.
Sonny, we were looking at Peak in my Patreon too last week. So nice
It's
to
up.
see.
Yeah, Peak is up. One of our gems from the Patreon, it's up over the past 2 weeks, 15 days, or not even, sorry, over the past 9 days, sorry. Peak is up 133.5% over 9 days.
Dang, nice.
One of the projects we've been looking at. Beast
I wonder-
Mode, nobody ever went broke taking profits. I'll put it that way for you, right? What I would do, honestly, right now, if you got into Peak before that run and you're up 133% or so, what I would personally do, not financial advice, but with my portfolio on Peak right now, I would probably take my initial out and just leave it as a moon bag, let it ride.
Yeah, I mean that's always like, especially with the D-gem plays. Once you get that 2x, take out your initial, let the rest ride, house money. You know?
Yeah. It's a lot easier to keep your portfolio in the green on flash crash days when half your bags are 100% profit, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a lot easier to fathom, right? You made your investment, you got it back, play with house money.
Yeah. Big Kev also says, let's go the triple threat team. Let the learning begin. We know who to follow and what to buy. Now we need to know when. 7:02 p.m. That's when. We love you, Big Kev. Thank you so much, brother. What is this one on? This one is on. Is this on mine as well? Wow.
You have super chats in your queue.
Super crazy, guys. What's going on, man? Thank you for the love. Chris is always supporting us, man. Chris is on all channels. He says, ZBCN seems to want to make a leg up again. Best safe profit-taking range before a drop of doom, please. Not financial advice, obviously. Hockey's still...
Oh, man. I grew up playing roller hockey. Like here in Texas, that's all we got. So, yeah.
That's funny you mentioned that. I did too when it comes, the roller skating rink, the park I used to live across the street, called Mount Scott Park, Southeast Portland, Oregon. Right down in the basement level of the gymnasium was a really big roller skating rink, and that's what we did too. Yeah, roller hockey. Yeah.
Honestly, Chris, for me personally, I mean, right now Zebec is meeting resistance right here, right on our trend line at about 2031. So if you can break through there, I would look for a daily close above there. If you can confirm the breakout above there, you could come all the way back up to the top of the bull flag here, somewhere around. If you get back up to 2035, I'd probably personally shave some profits off. That's just me, because I do believe Bitcoin's going to roll over, and I think that it's going to invalidate this bull flag, this smaller bull flag that Zebec is in when Bitcoin does roll over. So if you can get a little bit of a pump out of it, 2034, 2035, I'd probably take some profits. Max, I don't know who's this.
That's on my side on Maximus Crypto. Hey, thank you so much, Brent. So he says, for example, bag of XRP, HBAR, XLM, XDC, Quant. Missing anything? It's never financial advice, my friend, but nonetheless, something that I dropped, of course, even on the Patreon is, of course, my top 10. But, between us three, we obviously cover things like Swift Coin. And although it may not seem like that gets a lot of press, it's very silent. So if you're going to hold XRP, you got to look more into things like what we refer to as Chinese XRP. It's just kind of an unofficial title. That's Swift Coin. And a disclaimer, it has nothing to do with Swift messaging at all. It's literally referred to as the Swift blockchain. So the ticker symbol on that one's SWFTC. Again, not financial advice. Look more into that. We do have videos between us three We also have playlists between our channels, and then also on the Coin Vault. Shout out to all you guys on the Coin Vault watching over there right now. We do cover Swiftcoin even over there from time to time, and they are more than integrated, to say the least. I mean, good Lord, right, Rue? Like, was it 400 plus different bridges to some of our most popular cryptos, et cetera, et cetera. So I would look into that. There's some other ones, of course, on my list. I'm really big on Filecoin. That was something that got pulled up recently, and obviously there's ZBCN. I didn't see that on your list, so I would definitely say ZBCN, Canton. A disclaimer: I'm not giving you guys my full portfolio or anything like that, but both ZBCN and Canton have leapfrogged themselves for my top 5. Right, I have right around number 5. Okay, because you guys know I'm tied on XRP and QT for number 1, but there's some other ones. But anyway, I hope that kind of helps you out there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Plume while you were talking. Plume while you were talking there. I mean, RSI, not really quite overbought yet, so you could see more upside on it. But you're going to have to break above your resistance level here. As you can see, you have significant level. You had resistance around here. You had resistance here. You had support right in here. You had support in here. So you are at a significant level for Plume, but I would wait for a breakout to the upside, or a close, above here for a break to the upside. Maybe you come back up and retest the 200 week. It's weird because the only project, I've been looking at these charts, like altcoin charts, for days and days, and the only altcoin that I've seen on a chart so far that is above the 200-day moving average on the daily time frame is Zebec. Everything else is below.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, some of these altcoins. You know what a crazy one is, like Hyperliquid. Today's a pretty big day with that one going on with the perp dexes. So it's pretty interesting seeing an all-time high in an altcoin, but there's only a couple outliers. Yeah,
that was something I shared over on Patreon. I did a deep dive in Hyperliquid. So shout out to you guys who paid attention to that. In my opinion, I mean, if we're going to give it a quick analogy, I look at Hyperliquid as being like the institutional UDSwap. I mean, maybe that's an overplayed way of putting it, but it really, really is. They're there, and I'm glad that people are getting more aware of it. The only thing that we're seeing a lot of now is, of course, a lot of people now jumping on to cover it. Now it hits all-time highs, and that's the thing that sucks, because then people get wrecked. They FOMO in, and what are you doing? You're buying the top of that mountain. And this is what I love about Rob and Rue. You guys do, excellent coverage, not just with deep dives, but also with obviously charts. So for me, would I jump right into Hyperliquid right now? Heck no, because it's at the top, right? So this is why we can go to people in our communities like Rob, Rue, and so on, and say, you know what, is it going to pull back? What's it going to do in light of reaching all-time highs? But we'll give Hyperliquid its flowers, to say the least, because it did hit all-time highs, right? And that is definitely worth pulling out. And I mean, my God, recently, even on Maximus Crypto, I covered the whole thing of Hyperliquid and then the Ripple example, and right in the same breath was the mentioning of oil. And then I'm putting two and two together, and I'm thinking, well, what's going on in the world, especially over there in the Middle East, unfortunately. So it's interesting. And of course, their tokenomics, right now, I don't think is great. But nonetheless, they're a big player moving forward. They have solidified their name, and they're going to be here for the long haul. Absolutely.
Another big player I see moving forward is Near. And shout out to the Rue crew. Shout out to my Patreon. We've been covering Near for a while. It just reached $2, and it's also one of the very few, Rob's right, there's not too many that are over the 200 EMA. Near is as well. It's screaming right now at $2, and that whole agentic AI field, that whole sector is the future, right? And in 2 years or less, some places I've seen 6 months, there will be more agents doing trading in more agents out there than humans. So
yeah, I want to jump back over to Hyperliquid just for a minute, but I got to give a shout out to Chris for sending a $50 super chat over on CoinVault. Chris, man, you know, you've been to our last, I think, 2 live streams. You've been here backing us up, man, carrying the weight of the team. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. A little bit of lube on the rollerblades. Hey, you know, whatever makes the ride slide.
No, I agree, Chris. Thank you so much, man. We definitely do recognize you, and if we could just go back to that super chat just for a brief moment, I just want to point out I love your avatar that you have for YouTube. That looks pretty cool. So, you know, what is that, like a golden eagle or a hawk? I don't know. Probably a golden eagle, right? Going with the golden age. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got XRP on that. So thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I think that one's me. Exit Flip, what's up, man? If BTC puts that right shoulder in, where do you think Zebec tops out at before? Probably 2035. The top of the bull flag range, the top trend line, is probably where you're going to meet that resistance. So somewhere around there, 2034, 2035. Like I said earlier, not financial advice, but that's where I'd probably consider taking some profits off the table because no one ever went broke doing it. But back to what Crux was talking about with Hyperliquid, there is a caveat to that. I don't know how much you guys have been looking into this, but CME Group and ICE, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, have been trying to get the CFTC and SEC, or just regulators in general, but more the CFTC, to go after Hyperliquid because they're operating outside of the rules that CME and New York Stock Exchange have to operate under, right? So it's kind of like the banks 2.0, you know, going after exchanges.
It's literally a perp dex, the decentralized exchange that they go after. It's correct. Crypto's the Wild West right now.
And some other things interesting about Hyperliquid. I know that they were saying that they were going to do buybacks. I don't know if they started those already. And they're in an ETF, I think, from 21 shares. And also Bitwise said that they were going to do a ETF on Hyperliquid as well. So
yeah, I think buybacks are super interesting. And really Hyperliquid, I don't think mentioned them until Aster started putting pressure on them last year. So I think that's what, you know, they see Aster start getting that traction. They see Lighter pop out. It's like a perp dex race at this point. But Hyperliquid's a clear winner.
You guys remember when we did some coverage and we shared that guy over from Canton who encourages tribalism, who basically said that, you know, hey, let's be tribal. Well, I'm not
Luis.
Yeah. Well, he has a lot of Hyperliquid experience, and something that's interesting is a lot of Canton community people, whether they're like us or they're actually people that like building projects in Canton, they always mention Hyperliquid. So to me, it's like, yeah, why are they doing that? It's just like, again, we talk about DTCC and all of the above. There's constant references, of course, to Hyperliquid. So they have positioned themselves, you know, with obviously like the big institutions, et cetera, et cetera. They're literally the institutional exchange. Like I said, like an institutional Uniswap, I should say, not exchange.
Yeah, let me ask you all about this. So the founder of Canton, he's been very vocal on Twitter as of late, and he's called out SUI multiple times. And like he's specifically talking about this blockchain. I think SUI is pretty solid. Like their move programming language, they're the first to do certain things. And Canton, like he is not holding back. What do you guys think about, you know, this guy going directly at SUI?
I'll say it right now. We want to recognize Hugo for a second. I want to state this real quick. We covered this on the Coin Vault. So Rob kind of jumped in. He was like, yeah, I see what he's doing. Rue was like, yeah, you know, trying to catch some attention, making a trial. Only thing I don't like about that is, again, Rob, you always said, you know, we're a multiverse world, interconnected world, right? It has chain link-esque feel to it. So to me, I kind of, you know, even though I hold Canton, I love Canton, I do love the community, it does feel as though it's like, it's going to be kind of like Chainlink 2.0. As far as the community approach of like tribalism, that's the only thing I don't like about it, but it is what it is.
We know that the Canton ecosystem is trying to create tribalism. I mean, what was it? What's the content creator's name that came out and basically just called for it? That we
Luis.
were talking
Luis,
about?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
But the difference is he's not nothing against us, right? But he's actually a real person that's building on Canton. And of course, you know, he's had a lot of great experience with, you know, apparently leveraging Hyperliquid that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, he's the one that's leading. If you want to say, you want to point your finger at one guy other than Yuval, right? It would be him. So
sometimes.
Yeah, with somebody like I've covered a ton of different projects doing deep dives. Canton is a private network, so it's hard for me to really like gauge what this thing is really doing. Like I get their partnerships. I think it's a solid play. It's actually like a top 5 large cap for me. But it's just like I think if you're not willing to show everything that you're doing, then you shouldn't be calling other people out. And that would just be my quick take on it.
Well,
but I would disagree with you, brother. They are now showing everything that they're doing, and that's the main. That's not me step on your toes. That's the main thing where Yuval got ticked off, right? With Paul Barron and so on. But go ahead, Rube. Sorry.
Yeah. So at one point they said a couple trillion. I think they said they've tokenized like $7 or $8 trillion worth of assets, and I got to see that. You know, there's no network in crypto right now that I think has $7 trillion tokenized, but I could be wrong.
Well, they're doing stuff with the DTCC,
right?
And they're going to continue to do the stuff with the DTCC. And it's almost like I feel like the FUD is trying to drive people off something that's really good. Like, how many times have we seen that with Ethereum? You know, there are always going to be all these Ethereum killers, and we're a lot of them now, like Silica and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Terrible. You know, exactly. Bitcoin, nothing but like killers and like, you know, drug dealers are using Bitcoin. That was the thing in the beginning with that. You know, XRP, it's the banker's coin, and it's, you know, all of this type of stuff. And where are those projects now like very successful, right? So I almost feel like this negative we get from Canton is to stop people from investing in something that the DTCC is using, you know?
Not to mention, I mean, my God, remember when we got into one of our first deep dives as a collective group and we saw in the documents the global synchronizer? Like, I think people throw around these terms like it's nothing, like, oh, no big deal. Like Ripple's main product, on-demand liquidity, like 90%, no bash on other influencers, 90% of them, they won't even touch on-demand liquidity and get into the fundamentals. I kind of look at it like Canton. Most people who cover Canton don't really get truly into the whole thing of the global synchronizer. Maybe to the exception of people like Cypress Domanicore, right? Shout out to him, excellent researcher. But these are the things. And then when we look at the documents, we see, oh my gosh, you actually have a direct Swift plug. And then it's just like, and what does it also connect to? Oh, no big deal. The MTN. And then, you know, we got all these things, right? So many things. Like we can name off like a grocery list of things to go with it, to say the least. But my thing is recognizing that you are going to have, especially in this year, if somebody said 2026 so far, what has really stood out other than trying to get clarity going and stable coins and all this stuff and yield, I would still go back to the whole thing that 2026 is the year of privacy. And so that privacy tokens and coins, like if you don't have some of these in your portfolio, again, not financial advice, then I'm just saying, like, what are you really doing? Because moving forward, ZK knowledge proofs, privacy, like those have been some of the biggest wins so far. I mean, shout out again to our Patreon. We covered Canton at like, I don't know, 7 cents, and we're still up about 2x on it. And I understand there's other projects done better. Like, God, man, Binance attestation service turned 6K investment into like as much as 35K, right? That thing went up to about 2.5 cents, is pulled back. But again, it comes down to the fundamentals of recognizing what your utility is. And by the way, did we not also cover this? Canton, a network of networks. Quant, network of networks. What did Canton do? They collaborated with Quant Network, a network of networks. So as the saying goes, game recognizes game.
Right. And one of the bottom lines is it's giving, and we covered this on the Coin Vault, it's giving the ability for private or for public networks to send private messages, right? And that's a big thing. If you want institutions to use these public networks, they need to be able to send private messages. and Canton is making that happen, right? And if you guys have look at a lot of things like Near, right? I've talked about Near a lot, and what's going on with confidential intents that they have on Near. They have confidential USDC on there, right? And who made that possible? Canton again. So
I think of all the research I've done, the thing that surprised me the most was they've been around since 2016. Canton's been building. I saw this CC token emerge out of nowhere last year, like late last year. So it didn't really get the full bull market. But yeah, learning about the global synchronizer was pretty big. DAML, which is like their proprietary smart contract language. That was interesting because it's focused on regulation and the way that you program. So like regulation is set within the framework as opposed to something you add on later.
Yeah, I can tell you've done your homework on that, and that's good because like when I was covering Quant for years, right? I've been covering Quant since roughly 2022. You would always see this company Canton in the mix, but it was like, yeah, you can't purchase it. So when they went public, for me, I was just like, all right, I got to investigate this more. And I'll never forget texting Rue. I was like, Rue, Canton's the real McCoy, man. It really is the real McCoy. and of course, we've been covering ever since. But anyway.
Nice.
Rue, that's your super chat, brother.
Oh, thank you, Omni257. Always looking forward to the magic mics of crypto. What?
Hey.
Thank you, Rue Kitten out.
I couldn't let this one go by either. It says, guys, I just noticed that all of you have a beard, and Rob's is the only one that has with white hair. Yes, it allows me to play Santa Claus for my son every year, right?
He's the Moses, the wise one with the 10 commandments of the group.
Yeah. See, I actually when I first started doing lives and stuff with Rue and Max, it was black. But this is what happens when you work with these guys.
This is what happens when he hangs around us, right?
Oh man.
He has to wrangle us together.
To be fair, if we were going to dox all of us, we probably would be able to unveil some more of that, some of that white and gray. But it's all good. It's all good. We're not, like shout to Smoke. He ain't doxing himself. We're not going to fully dox our beard, right? Right, Rue? Anyway.
No, we're not, bro. No, we're not.
All right. We're not going there. Not going there. So.
Yeah.
Oh, this is odd. Usually it's with you, Rue.
No, it's
welcome back, Rob. Welcome.
There he goes. You like
was I frozen?
Just for like 5 seconds, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, I was thinking about Canton, this kind of aspect of Canton when you guys were talking about it. It's something that really drives me nuts with the intellectual dishonesty when it comes to content creators covering projects. You always get naysayers who will give a half truth, right? Now, they always talk about Canton's minting mechanism, but they don't ever talk about the burning mechanism. It's literally designed as an equilibrium, right? Mm-hmm. But you'll get people who cover Canton and they'll only talk about the mint. Oh, they're just minting into oblivion, like the burning mechanism doesn't exist at all, right?
Yeah.
And I just find that level of intellectual dishonesty kind of drives me nuts, right? There's a burning mechanism. It's common knowledge that it's literally designed as an equilibrium to keep the supply under control, but you'll leave half of it out. You know what I mean? That I hate that stuff. Tara, another bearded brother. There you go.
Yep. Beard crew in the house, man. Represent. So for one, shout out to you, my friend, right? You always have the good bearded look. You support us all. But yeah, shout out to you too, Terrell. You buy Quant every day. Oh, well, geez. I mean, I'm just bringing research, right? It's never financial advice, but I do appreciate it. Obviously, we've had some bangers over on Maximus Crypto the last few days, really tying in some Quant, but of course, like recognizing, especially in the videos, the research, the overlap, right? And especially that one that was released earlier about the BIS. The reason why on Maximus Crypto I included on a live show is I, of course, don't want to do the full however long it was, right? It was like a 40-minute video. But what I wanted to do at some point after we, read some chats and so on, just briefly, because we are talking about crypto. I did want to just take you guys right to kind of like where the answer is, So shout out to you guys who are out here on the live. There is an answer in regard to the chosen ones. And I did want to get into why I felt as though that, yeah, it's big that BIS documents prove XRP, XLM, HBAR, QNT are the chosen ones, but how do we include Zebec there? So we'll have like a little bit of a round table talk about that, and we'll probably do that here in a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much, Terrell. I really appreciate that. Can't thank you enough in that regard. There wasn't a super chat on this, and it's okay. We do recognize some of you guys' questions. I do want to address this particular question. I don't know if you can still pull this up. It was a while back in the chat from our brother in space, Jetpack. Okay, so Jetpack always keeps me on my toes, to say the least, right? So I don't dismiss anything, all right? Because I kind of feel like, sometimes it's like bros calling me out, right? So at some point, let's see
Bros
here.
calling me out.
Yeah, it's kind of like bros calling me out, I don't know if you can pull that. I don't know if you can pull that up. Oh,
You
yeah.
can do this to me?
I see it. 618. So if you can't pull it up, I'll just read this out loud. It's okay, Rob, because I know that it's hard to navigate through all this. So Jetpack's question, everybody, is, hey, Max, question, all the ISO tokens except Quant, all right, have integrated with Coinbase's X402. Do you think QNT will integrate with X402 also, or do you think QNT doesn't need to? Well, hold my beer, my friend, and make sure it's PBR, because that's my favorite one. What we're going to do now is we're going to pull this up on your screen to show you proof that, basically speaking, this is why we pay attention to all of everything, okay? And I love you, Jetpack. There's no knock on you. But I like that you always keep me on my toes, to say the least. So right here, as the saying goes, I got put on merch at this particular point. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. Quant Fusion Layer 2.5. Fusion's network of networks connects every chain in the ecosystem and entry and exit points for assets. All, not some, all accessible by Fusion apps. And what is Fusion Layer 2.5? It's basically an original type of infrastructure the only Quant network has. Only Quant network has the Layer 2.5 plug and play. And apps deploy in under a day and already support, boom, X402 payments natively. So this should answer your question. We did talk about this, I think, over on the Coin Vault. I also covered on Maximus Crypto. I will reshare this for everybody out there. And this was originally posted on April 27, 2026. So that should answer the question. And if you're also wondering about the other part of your question about Coinbase, well, as the saying goes, boom, boil it, mash it, stick it in stew. Overledger, Coinbase Commerce, what do you want to automate with it all? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I want to deploy AI agents to connect to Overledger, Coinbase Commerce, 300,000 plus other apps in freaking seconds. And of course, you see smart contract functionality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I wanted to kind of just thought of something. Crux, you remember you and I did that Caspa video the other day?
Yeah.
I just wanted to laugh about a comment. So somebody in the comment section said that they mentioned Caspa to me in the last live stream, and all of a sudden I'm making Caspa videos. So I went back in my video library and I looked at my Caspa videos. I had a Caspa video almost every day from 2019 to 2024 in my video library on YouTube. It
Wow.
doesn't take, you don't have to, go far to look. Really, if someone wants to, they can just go to my channel and then search under the videos and just type in Caspa every day from 2019 to 2024. And this guy's like, oh, all of a sudden you're making Caspa videos.
Haters
Yeah.
are always going to
Like
hate.
you're brand new
You know
or
what I
something.
mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Haters
Yeah.
are always going to hate.
Brand new. But no, I did feel like it was a good time to start kind of covering Caspa again.
Yeah, I think
especially
this part of the market, it's actually refreshing. We've had all of these that, some of these cryptos hit new all-time highs like an XRP did. Some of them didn't, like Chainlink didn't. But we've all had, 50, 60, 70% pullbacks. So it's like, all right, we're reset. If you're a good project, you will figure it out in this next bull market. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I think everyone's just a little bit bored right now. The market, let's be honest, has been boring for it feels like 2 months, right? It's been this kind of slow upward kind of, with Bitcoin. We haven't seen any flash crashes or really massive god candles for so long. So I think that the market in general is just kind of getting bored. That's why people are getting argumentative.
But somebody who's been here many times, I think this is actually exciting for me. I'm like, this is the time that makes legends, when you're buying these projects that are 70, 80% down that have potential. So
yeah, that's what we always say. Like, the millionaires are not made in bull runs; they're made in bear markets.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why they say like 90 to 95% of people in crypto usually either break even or don't make money. It's because they don't have the cojones to be buying in these bear markets. They leave, they get angry, they get upset, they
Would you say it's a patience thing though? Like, so people see Bitcoin, it ran up, so I'm gonna get the next best thing, and then the next best thing, and then eventually you're down like number 83 in market cap, and they get this thing way at the top, and then they ride it 70% down.
That's why I'm telling people, don't jump into Hyperliquid right now. We recognize it's a great project, don't get me wrong, but why would you want to jump into something at all-time highs, right? So,
right.
Yeah, I think that if a lot more people realized that crypto, like especially altcoins, is like 99% of the time it's boring sideways action or downward action, followed by like you'll get like little spurts, maybe 2 or 3 times a cycle of like 30 days of parabolic run, right? And when you finally figure that out, and that's why they say time in the market, right? You finally figure that out, that it's like, then you can be better prepared, like you said, with patience for just buying, DCAing, holding, waiting for that like month, 30 to 40 days of parabolicness, and then if you're smart, taking your profits and getting the hell out of it, and then redeploy and prepare for another 99.9% of boring red sideways action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of taking the profits and whatnot, I'm going to recognize that real quick. But we want to also recognize Rise Above. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat you dropped over on Maximus Crypto. He says, shout out to the Coin Vault panel, always bringing us the deep dives, and, of course, welcoming Crux of Crypto. Speaking of Crux, right? Again, thank you again, Rise Above. We should highlight your channel, bring some awareness to his channel. So let's go ahead and get that shared on the screen as well. Which is Crux of Crypto, just kind of like how it sounds, you guys, right?
Appreciate
it. Yeah, man, no problem. So for one, let's pull this up. And right here, everybody, here's his channel. Basically, who the heck is this calling me right now at 6:56 in the evening, crack of evening? You know, I'm playing. That's my dad's his friend. I had to give him a call back, man. One of the few guys that know family members, right? Anyway, here's his channel, Crux of Crypto, and literally at Crux of Crypto. And just briefly, again, thank you so much for the super chat, man. We really appreciate you guys always blessing us with that. But is there any particular things that you want to point out in regard to your live show, your videos? Obviously, you just did a collaboration with Rob on Caspa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually tomorrow I'll have a video. It's going to be 7 different signals on when to buy in this bear winter. And get this. So a lot of people think that the bottom is in, and I'll say with about 60% certainty it's not in. And you got to watch tomorrow's video, because I'll tell you 7 reasons why. I talk about Elliott wave theory. I talk about the year long after a peak goes into a bear winter. That's one of them. And there's some really good ones, though. And I can guarantee some of them are the first time you'll hear it. So very interesting video. And a lot of times I do deep dives in the versus videos. As you can see, Zebec versus Kita. Not going to tell you who won that one, but I'm sure you know. And then, Zcash versus Monero. That one was fun. I teach about like privacy and stuff. So I tried to just have a good array of different cryptocurrencies, and then also how to navigate the markets without losing too much money.
I love it. I love seeing that you're covering the next era of proof of works. That's awesome. Again, we'll probably have to get together with you and maybe we'll introduce a little bit more Caspa to the Coin Vault. I originally did a few videos. It's been a while, right? I haven't covered Caspa for about a year, but nonetheless, I used to mine it, and yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back into some of that.
Heck
so
yeah.
that'd be cool.
I'll definitely jump on your channel, and we can make a Casper video.
Right on.
Gabriel, hey Rob, where can we stake ZBCN for 20%? Sorry, not joining anyone's Patreon or Discord. Gabriel, I greatly appreciate your question and your super chat. Unfortunately, the way that I have to look at it is that there are people, thousands of people over on the Patreon that pay for that information, and if I just give it away on YouTube like that, it's kind of a kick in the nuts to them, right? I do appreciate your stance on not really wanting to join any communities, and I respect that, but I have to respect everybody that pays for that kind of information, right? That is in the community. So yes, I do sincerely apologize for that. But I wanted to address this here because I thought it was a good segue topic to kind of jump into. What do you guys think? Have we covered this? Have we covered this enough over on CoinVault?
Yes, we have. I'll take it. Guys, not sure if this is true, but it appears that ZBCN and Canton are in some sort of relationship / agreement between them. Do you know, I think you missed there, anything about this? And would you please elaborate on that? Thanks. Like, I know on my channel, I did many a show before they actually announced the agreement, saying that I think they're going to announce the agreement, and they did, right? They have,
I think, like six live shows. If I had to put out there, I would say at least 6 live shows, and I definitely remember many of those, day by day, back to back. Yeah,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
people say they want the receipts. All you gotta do is go to Rue's channel and go to his live show section. And I remember those, man. You were pumping those out like it's assembly line. So
thank you, brother. So they do have a relationship with a neobank called Lattice. I definitely think it's going to get deeper, but we shall see here. You gotta drop that pause in at the perfect spot.
How fast you did it! Like you were just prepared to
nonchalant.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I definitely think they're going to announce a deepening of that relationship for sure. And
well, Simon, sorry to cut you off, but Simon did, no pun intended, Simon did say that we should be looking forward to more partnership announcements between Canton and Zebec moving forward. So
no, exactly. No, yeah, thank you.
Right from the horse's mouth. So
indeed.
Yeah, and here's the way I just want to touch bases on this just real quick. So we, for the most part, most of us have seen the picture of Simon Balikani, and you have Nadine Shakar from DTCC, and it's that famous. It's famous at this point, that handshake, and everyone's alluding to like that's going to be the next major thing. It's going to be inevitable. I imagine the conversation was something like this, right? So Nadine Shakar literally meets Simon Balikani, and then she immediately mentions, "Hey, you know what? Awesome, nice to meet you. I heard you guys' use case, especially with what you're going to do and streamlining payroll, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, did you guys happen to check out one of the the new players that they're kind of around in in a booth over here? Oh yeah, who's that? Yeah, Canton Network. Believe it or not, they just went public, and they are really solidified with us in DTCC. Oh, really? Tell me a little bit about them." So that's how I think conversations go. I'm not saying that that's how it happened word for word, but I wouldn't put it past it, right? Because you guys have seen it yourself. You guys probably stood there at XRP Vegas and maybe saw some people talking to each other in the background. Thought, that's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. Shout out to Underdog Research, my guy. We were talking about Plume a little bit earlier, brother. It says, tell the people what exchanges are in the U.S. is best to acquire Zebec. Centralized or decentralized? I mean, where do you guys buy it down in the States?
Uphold, absolutely. But Underdog, we were joking about you earlier, right? We said that every time somebody mentions Plume, underdog of the Underdog Research Channel, his ears start ringing, and boom, you're here. So I'm kind of wondering, like, it's something about when, I cover frequencies. I've done some crazy deep dives. Some people say it's conspiracy. I don't care, right? It'd be me. But all of a sudden, you're here. Maybe the ears are ringing, brother. So shout out to you, man.
Yeah, you can also in the States, you can get it on Kraken and crypto.com as well.
Mm-hmm. Do Kraken. Crypto.com gets you on those fees.
Yeah.
I love Kraken, man. Kraken is like, that's like, I point out to you guys, as far as like the ease of access. I mean, yeah, we all cover BTCC, don't get me wrong, but as far as ease of access, it's Kraken for me all the way. It's just so easy, man, because of Stripe integration in there, man. It's just, it's my favorite exchange for as far as it being friendly and so on. I just need to mention this real quick. I know we're answering a lot of questions, and that's great. We appreciate you guys. I just want to say, back from the slums of Shaolin, Corey Bebe is in the house. I have not seen you in forever.
Yes, Beebs, I saw that too.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Shout out to Beebs. I also want to just take a quick second, give a shout out to one of our channel sponsors, Coin Vigilante, making custom crypto watches. I got a chance to sit down with these guys at the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, and I even went and got myself a watch. I'm wearing mine right now. Absolutely love this thing, guys. They make, it doesn't have to necessarily be Bitcoin, whatever your favorite project is, or if you have a business or something and you want to get a custom watch made for your business or something like that, they do that as well. So shout out to them, guys. Use our link down below. You'll get a phenomenal deal. I love mine. I absolutely love mine. So
he got the Genesis block on the back of that watch. It says Chancellor on the brink of collapse.
Yeah.
Shout out Satoshi. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I love it. I love mine. So I collect watches, so I add them to my collection. So
hey Rob, I wanted to share that handshake that Max was talking about with Najeen Shikar and Simon Babakani.
I don't think so.
So this is like, infamous at this point now. Like the picture says 1,000 words right there. This was at the Cybos. But I also like to share some stuff about Zebec and Treasury, if you guys don't mind here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
that might be like Rob. I mind 100%.
Request denied.
Let's bring up the XRP Las Vegas speech that Simon did, and I'm gonna play an excerpt from it. So let's play it.
That dollar-denominated treasury plays in the global economy. How do you look at projection of sort of the U.S., whether you want to call it soft power or monetary influence, and stablecoins fitting into that sort of expansion of the dominance of the U.S. dollar?
I mean, stablecoins, without a doubt, are one of the biggest drivers of maintaining dollar dominance, right? When you think about it, a stablecoin issuer is naturally a buyer of U.S. treasuries and an exporter of the U.S. dollar. And I think that payroll really unlocks the next leg of that. Because if you're someone that's working abroad outside of the U.S., let's say you're a developer in Lagos, right, in Nigeria, and you're getting paid in U.S. dollar stablecoins, you are now a customer of the U.S. system, even if the U.S. banking system wasn't able to reach you. And that's what's so exciting about it, because you can technically serve anyone in the world, no matter where they're located.
Yeah, we were talking about, I guess the volatility of the global economy doesn't matter that much until all of a sudden you're dealing with the crisis, and then you'd much rather be holding dollars, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So where do we go from here? What kind of other products? You mentioned the card a little bit. Tell me more about the next kind of 2 months for Zebec.
Right. So, I mean, right now we're building out what I would call our own little financial ecosystem, right? We have our payroll on stablecoin. We have a super app that brings the payroll together with our card suite, token trading and staking all in one place. So we're trying to essentially replace the banking system, let you run your entire life on crypto, and then let enterprises unlock the power of stablecoins. Because we know that, in the next 5 years, 10 years, we're going to see stablecoin flows into trillions and trillions of dollars. And stablecoin payroll will become the default, right? It's just a matter of time, and we're very well positioned for that growth.
Yeah, what about RLUSD specifically? Because I think one of the interesting things that's been happening is everybody's becoming an issuer, right? So like, what are some of the things that you're hoping to see over the next few years for the Ripple community more broadly, just in terms of projecting out, expanding into these institutional use cases and this projection of the dollar?
Well, I mean, RLUSD is one of the gold standards for stablecoins out there, right? Like issued by a New York banking charter, backed by Ripple, which is of course supervised by the New York Department of Financial Services, backed one-to-one by cash and treasuries. It doesn't get more transparent than that. But I think what's most exciting for us is what I would call the Treasury flywheel associated with RLUSD. If you look back a year ago, it was about a $200 million market cap stablecoin. Now it's eclipsed 1.5 billion. And as more of these treasuries come on chain and start participating in treasury management, custody, and eventually payroll through Zebec, there's a multiplier effect throughout the ecosystem. And that's how you're going to see RLUSD really take off and scale.
So right there, that part with the Treasury flywheel. And he said, basically, that's how you're going to see RLUSD scale with this Treasury flywheel. I'm going to play that 1 minute again, and we're going to get into some research I have on that. I'd love to hear the crew's opinion. Let me play that 1 minute one more time.
Of course, supervised by the New York Department of Financial Services, backed one-to-one by cash and treasuries. It doesn't get more transparent than that. But I think what's most exciting for us is what I would call the Treasury flywheel associated with RLUSD. If you look back a year ago, it was about a $200 million market cap stablecoin. Now it's eclipsed 1.5 billion. And as more of these treasuries come on chain and start participating in treasury management, custody, and eventually payroll through Zebec, there's a multiplier effect throughout the ecosystem. And that's how you're going to see RLUSD really take off and scale.
So I think that's really, really, really big there. And we have a couple different people who've written some things here on X about it. Shout out to 314 Crypto and the Zebec Nation crew here. He has one unified platform powered by Ripple Treasury, now handles fiat, XRP plus RLUSD natively, cash forecasting, payments and netting, liquidity management, reconciliation, risk and reporting, all inside the same system. Fortune 500s already use it. No rip and replace. Zebec slots in as the last mile. Real-time streaming payroll, auto fiat to RLUSD conversion, and debit cards for employees. So they're literally like that whole supply chain, from the treasury to the payroll to the conversion to the RLUSD to the actual spending debit cards to employees, right? So treasury funds, traditionally Zebec streams stablecoin wages instantly. Corporate on-ramp is officially here. Okay. Seamless, not as seamless as my reading, but way more seamless than my reading here. So gotta love that there.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
First of all, shout out RLUSD for getting the top 10 stablecoin. That's a difficult feat to do, especially this far behind. RLUSD didn't start until I think last year, if I'm not mistaken. And they already hit like 1.3 or 1.4 billion from Ethereum and the Ripple ledger. So it's interesting to see like the stablecoin is actually doing very well, but also how you talked about treasuries, how this flywheel is able to mint more as it invests in these treasuries. Treasuries go up, they sell the treasury, or they just back it and then create another token. So it's going to keep on, hopefully, as long as these treasuries go up, going up and right forever. So I think RLUSD has a ton of potential.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Max.
Well, I was just going to point out, again, I pointed this out in Maximus Crypto, I think, in yesterday's video. A lot of people didn't really care about it because it's talking about the tokenization of electricity, but to me, it is important to recognize it. I gave you, Hugo, if you're still listening, a shout out. It said, shout out to Hugo loves Monica Long. So you had Monica Long in the thumbnail, but whatever the case be, Monica Long, at the time when it was reported, I think yesterday or the day before, give or take, she pointed out how we have like the top 20 disruptors global disruptors, and believe it or not, Ripple got named as number 16th, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm glad you guys are bringing some of these things up because it's worth pointing out. So I'm like thinking, geez, people, nothing against some people, okay, but like there's comments, right? So it's like I released that, and one guy was just like, yeah, all this great news, and it just keeps going down, down, down. And I'm thinking, but isn't that a blessing in disguise for you? So is your strategy that you're going to buy it when it's up, up, up? That doesn't sound like a winning formula. So anyway, yeah, number 16th disruptor. I have some things that are going to complement, obviously, what Rue has. I don't know if you want to expand upon what you're mentioning.
Yes, just a bit here. Let me share this. This is from JV Vink. He works for Zebec. He's like their BD. And he says here, Treasury is greater than stable coins, greater than the payroll, greater than spend. Okay. And Zebec does all 4 of these verticals. Okay. So again, that shows you how important someone even on Zebec's team thinks that the Treasury is. And really interesting here, it used to say on JV's site that all partners are followed. Very interesting here. He follows G Treasury. Okay. So just very interesting little point there. Following, we'll go down and get that. So very, very, very interesting there. And one other thing, I want to share a graphic from Ghost here, where he says programmable control for the Treasury, right? Define recipient rate, conditions, and spend limits. One Treasury funds humans plus AI agents, single KYC, unlimited recipients, no extra compliance drag. Okay. Now, I covered this in one of my live streams. I can't remember if it was with the Patreon or actually on the regular channel. But Simon, when he was talking to Joel Valenzuela of Dash, he said that maybe, possibly, eventually, Zebec will have AI agents. I think it's actually a certainty that they'll have AI agents, and Simon was a little bit slow rolling us a little bit there. But now imagine your Treasury, all of your Treasury's things are conducted by AI agents. So say that you need to become carbon neutral, or you know what I mean? It's going to go out and buy the carbon credits and make sure you're carbon neutral, right? Or it'll go out and sell carbon credits if you're a company like Tesla, where you have extra carbon credits. Your AI agent will make sure that your Treasury and your company is always where it needs to be there. So this is kind of one of the things that he's mentioning here, Ghost. And I think this is the future of Treasury. This is the future of agentic AI, where they're basically your HR and they're your compliance all in one, all wrapped up in one. So here we have real-time global payouts, multi-currency support, audit logs and reporting, role-based access, APIs, and web hooks. Okay, so really, really big there, and I think we can end it right there.
Some great research, only from yourself, but Ghost has been sharing a lot of great insights with his posts on X, his clips, you name it, and so on. Glad that you guys got to meet him, obviously, at XRP Vegas. I just want to take a moment to expand upon what Rue shared with you guys, and also recognize some of you guys in the community. So obviously I put out a big whopper, 2 of them today, over on Maximus Crypto. I don't want to dominate this live feed, but I do want to at least recognize that there's a reason why a lot of you guys are here. Okay, so think about what Rue just mentioned. Fast forward to this key area. This key area is so important that you at least get it, because it tells you what's really going on, as I would say, in the background, but more importantly, like what did the BIS literally share today? Okay. So if you're watching from Maximus Crypto, on that title, it says live show, actual BIS documents, prove XRP, XLM, HBAR, and QT are the chosen ones. We already did that in the recorded video. I encourage you to check it out whenever you have some free time. If you can't watch it all in one sitting, hey, it's okay. Hit pause, come back, do whatever you got to do later. But I'm going to put some emphasis on XRP, XLM, and then we're going to expand upon it with, of course, ZBCN. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the screen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously just fast forward to that key part. It's already fast forward. Let's go ahead and share this. Okay, so here it is. I think Rob, okay, thank you, Rob. And I'm going to go ahead and play this for you because, for one, I want to share actually this clip, I should say this tweet. We can't even call it tweets now, right? It's called a post, right? So, Bank for International Settlements. Let me just show you the proof just in case you guys missed this. I'm going to share this, okay? So, for one, they posted this today, May 21st at 5 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I got really into this, and it says liquidity. Notice how it immediately says liquidity is the lifeblood of supply chains, enabling firms to make timely payments without wasting, or I should say waiting for cash inflows. How do changes in money elasticity affects firms and the economy? All right, so this is a working paper. I got really into it, right? Now, when I jump over to here, this is literally taken from that document that the Bank for International Settlements is linking you guys to. We're going to go ahead and play that. And yeah, let's just do that. Listen to this. This gets right to the point. Listen to this. What do you see here? It says, we study how access to on-demand money. Think about that. I mean, my God, they are screaming quant without saying it. Like, if I was doing a collab with Jesse, which we'll do more collabs. I know some of you guys miss him. Jesse would interrupt me right now. He would be like, bro, that says on-demand liquidity without even saying it. I would 100% agree. Look what it says here in the focus. We study how access to on-demand money through credit lines affects firms operating within interconnected supply chains. My goodness, everybody, think about that. It's like they're literally telling you it's Ripple. And you may be new to it all and you may not understand the terminology, but again, what is Ripple's main product? It's on-demand liquidity. So we study how to access on-demand money. Come on. Come on. They're literally screaming Ripple with XRP here at you. And again, we'll get into the, as I would say, the boy that mashed the stick in the still moment, because again, look what it says here specifically. And again, this is from the Bank for International Settlements, everybody. The central bank is central bank. It says specifically, we analyze how changes in financial conditions which shape the elasticity of money, the ability of the financial system to provide liquidity when needed. So for one, they're telling you about on-demand money. We already mentioned on-demand liquidity. And then right here, they even point out that liquidity when needed. Again, on-demand liquidity, lender of last resort. That's what's needed or when needed. And look what it points out here. Affect, their production and trigger ripple effects throughout the supply chain. Oh, you don't say. And at the end of the day, some people say, well, that doesn't say Ripple with XRP. That doesn't have a capital R, but do you ever notice, right? Do you ever notice when it comes to the Ripple logo? Let's pull this up just in case you forgot, right? Just in case you forgot. Let's look at the logo. Let's look at everything, right? So even here, Ripple, when they do anything official, is that a capital R? No, it's not. It's all lowercase, right? So there's something to be said about that. It's almost as if they're telling you that it's literally Ripple. So again, the terminology is really, really adding up, to say the least there, right? So again, to trigger ripple effects throughout the supply chain. And I encourage you to look more into this. Speaking of which, we're going to do just that. We are going to look more into this. And how are we going to do that? Well, you guys, hopefully you've been enjoying some of the visuals. So I'm going to give it to you in simple layman's terms. And I'm going to explain it in a way that makes sense. So for one, I want you to literally picture this. Imagine a factory that has to pay its suppliers today, yes, today, but won't get paid by its customers for weeks. That gap is called working capital. And basically that means cash you need to bridge. You need to have cash to bridge the delay. But in real supply chains, for example, cars, electronics, clothes, etc., these delays create a risk of gridlock. If everyone waits for incoming cash before paying, the whole network basically freezes. Banks solve this with credit lines. like for example, an overdraft or pre-approved loan that you can tap into instantly. This creates, and again, back to that example you saw there, elastic money. And basically it means the financial system can expand liquidity on demand so payments keep moving. All right, so think about that part. And then also, if you were to get further into this, okay, there's a key area that I want to highlight real quick. And I believe it's right here. Okay, we're going to take you over to there. And it's this BIS working paper. And right, I believe, right here, look what it mentions. Okay, so here's more proof. In the BIS document, page 22 of 31 of Trust Bridge and Money Flows, they specifically mention 3 key ones, right? I discount, obviously, Bitcoin with the Lightning Network. Here's why. Because we saw that the IMF said we'll never use Bitcoin ever again as a lender of last resort, basically. Not in those exact words, because they already done this, you guys. They already did this with, of course, El Salvador, and it didn't meet their rules and compliance. And moving forward, they're not gonna do it, right? So they're gonna go, like it says here, with these 3 models, right? And notice how it says XRP. Notice how it says basically Stellar. There's one more key area I want to jump into. And basically it's, I think, a little bit further here. Hold on, let me just go over to this part. Specifically on Project Genesis. Yep, let's pull this up. And right here, it says that you have, through Project Genesis, the Stellar Network. So again, this is another BIS document. Is used as the main source of trust for facilitating transactions. All right, I will get more further into this. You're more than welcome to watch the video. I wish I had that particular one, but if you were to go into it, it basically mentions, excuse me, maybe I can pull this up real quick. It might be right. Oh, here it is. This is a treat for you guys. Totally gave you the answer. So on page 6 of 8 of the BIS document, notice how it says the rise of tokenized money market funds. And a lot of you guys always ask me, especially from my community, why is Stellar consistently your number 2, right? And people treat Stellar like it's basically Ripple's, younger brother or cousin or whatever you want to call it. But in reality, like, they have separated themselves. And here's why. Okay, so it says the TMMF, which is Tokenized Money Market Fund, underwent a significant structural shift. And look what it says here. Initially, guys, come on, literally, even if you don't hold Stellar, I want you to pay attention to this. Initially, Stellar, a network that allows comparatively cheap transfers in much smaller amounts than other blockchains, was the preferred choice of issuers as it caters to a broad investor base, including, of course, retail. You saw it posted from the BIS, not just Maximus saying, oh, this is a cool thing. I know, I provide you real documents. So this is literally a chosen one. Now, let's have us all come back into the frame. And of course, check out the whole thing of Maximus Crypto, the deep dive. So Rue, Rob, Crux, all you guys, anybody wants to chime in, I want to point this out. So again, let's go back to Zebec. Because again, when you look at these documents from the BIS, then enter Zebec. We're going to streamline payroll, right? So already you have an alliance, right? You have positioned yourself strategically in U.S. markets, as we clearly have seen, and of course, even Europe. Europe, we know that Stellar is doing the digital euro stablecoin through the other way around. Societe Generale selected Stellar for their infrastructure, and they're going to do the digital euro stablecoin. We know that Ripple, Quant, and Hedera are part of the whole thing of the digital euro. So think about how many different ecosystems you are now going to be able to, I guess you could say, incorporate or integrate that streamlined process to payroll. Rue, I'm actually going to start with you because we just expanded upon what you just shared tonight. And I think, if anything, a lot of this still goes way past people's heads. But again, the documents show, plain as day, things like the chosen ones. Oh, the ripple effects. Oh, on-demand money. Come on. That guy, and I made a funny clip, right? Augustine Carstens, he's kind of like giving us riddles. And what do we know when it comes to Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz? They love riddles, right? Even if you look into the Ripple logo, shout out to NFA Crypto, not Financial Advice Crypto, the guy that with the George Washington avatar or whatever, he has pointed out if you look at Ripple and you were to flip it, it's Riddle, right? Anyway, Rue?
So I got into this a little bit today on my live stream. I was like, you have 44 days left. We played some stuff from Mr. Man. Shout out to Mr. Man. He does really great coverage. It was someone at SOFMA talking about the DTCC, and Mr. Man had some notes in there that Securrency has embedded in it. XDC, XRP, and I think XLM. So they already have multiple chains embedded in the DTCC. So when they clear this quadrillions that they plan to clear before a certain date, definitely check out my video there. I think it's going to be pretty great for the market, right? And coming up even later when Genius is fully implemented in January 18th of 2027, maybe then we have even more fireworks, you know?
Absolutely. I got to mention this real quick because I don't want to lose this. So, guys, the reason why we also we include things like Stellar, other than the whole thing of like Zebec partnerships and of course your XRPs and whatnot, is to recognize that to see the BIS documents, whether you like the BIS or not. Most of us are not big fans of the BIS or central banks or any of that. But if we're going to have a panel here and talk about things like we talked about earlier, like Bitcoin and whatnot, please recognize that one central bank, just one, all right, can do more transactions in a single day than Bitcoin can do in an entire year. And we've seen the analytics. I said to myself, where is Jesse of Apex Crypto Insights pulling this information? Well, I got more into it and I found out, yeah, you know what? This is a real thing. So again, just one central bank. Well, last I checked, Rue, right? We know that the Bank for International Settlements is the central bank of central banks. So it makes me that much more bullish on these assets that we hold. And of course, we can appreciate that Simon Babakani strategically positioned himself and his company to be at the forefront for streamlining payroll, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the way I look at it.
And then we know like that they're going to deal with treasuries for corporates, but they're also kind of in the treasury of the biggest corporation, which is America, with what they do with NatPay, right? Where they have a direct connection to Swift. Okay. So anyone else want to add anything there? Rob or Crooks?
I mean, I think y'all crushed it. I think the big winner, Canton, we haven't talked about that in a little bit, but I think that's a big winner in all of this is those are the rails that, XRP is now using. So I think that is what I'm putting my money into.
No, that's a good brother, because of course, if the DTCC is clearing all of this, like Canton's already saying they're partnered with them.
Right.
It seems like it's a safe bet to me.
Yeah, that's the bet.
Something that I talked about earlier today in a video that I wanted to bring up was a slept-on partnership that Zebec has with Proppy. And I did a deeper dive video into it today because they've been partners for a while now, and like it blows my mind that it's not something that's really taught. Maybe a lot of people don't really realize it or talk about it, but being able to buy a house or pay your mortgage through Zebec's system is like real world utility, both for Proppy and for Zebec. And it's like I haven't seen anybody really talking about this. It's mind boggling to me. We talk about Bitcoin backed loans, mortgages.
Yeah, sure. So Proppy, if I'm not mistaken, like you can own a fraction of a house. It's essentially a real world asset play. Let's say this house is like $300,000. You could invest like $8,000 into the house, and then you can Airbnb it as a group of people, and you'll get your fraction of that Airbnb return. I think that's how it kind of works. Very interesting.
But they also facilitate the buying and selling of property as well. Like as a whole, like you could literally buy an entire house, not just a fractionalized mortgage, but an entire house. Whether you wanted to pay the mortgage, you could, in theory, pay your mortgage every second through Zebec system, like
Nice.
just a tiny little bit, even if it's just a couple of cents or a dollar or whatever every second, continuously 365, theoretically on their system, right? I mean, I
That'd
don't
be
know.
difficult to sleep. You know, oh, I just lost 5 cents. Oh, there goes 10 cents.
Yeah.
Here.
but Proppy facilitates all the middlemen in between and everything too, right? So for me, this is a big partnership that brings, like I said, real world use case to both of these projects. And I haven't heard anybody talk about it. It's like, I'm gonna kind of do a deeper dive into this partnership. Because I wasn't sure if it was just, are they just using Proppy tokens on one of the Zebec cards? Because you hear a lot of partnerships with Zebec, and that's kind of just the long and short of it is now you can use your, I don't know, Plume tokens as money on using your Zebec carbon card or whatever, right? Wherever MasterCard is. So I didn't know if it was that kind of a partnership or was there more to it. And diving deeper into it, I was mind boggled that this isn't something people care about.
Yeah, I think the mind-boggling thing that stuck out with me when I did my deep dive on Zebec was the Lattice USDCX and essentially spending like private stable coins with debit cards. I thought that was crazy. I've never seen that in crypto, and I've done tons of deep dives.
And see, that brings up the privacy part again, right? And we know Aveo is partnered with Zebec, also partnered with Canton. So like,
yeah.
Like these institutions are going to need privacy, guys. So,
yeah, nobody wants to have their payroll out there on an open ledger. Like it's good that Bitcoin did what it did. You know, it was exactly where it needed to be right when it was, right after the housing collapse. But at this point, we need anonymity. You know, we want the ledger that exists. People can use it, but you don't know who sent what and when. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, for me, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Canton, what they're doing with the privacy aspect of things for institutions and banks and stuff is just like, look, that's like one of the final bridges to really bring that money into the space, right? Because like it or not, they're just not going to come in here into this space if everyone can see everything they're doing on the blockchain.
Right.
You know, if people think that it's, well, why do they need that privacy? What are they hiding from me? They don't care about Farmer Joe, right? They care about people trying to front run their their investments and their moves, and you know.
Right. So, if you think about it, like a lot of arbitrage, that kind of is what sets the markets. Like Binance will have Bitcoin for this, Coinbase will have Bitcoin for this, and that's really the bots they understand what happened on this ledger because it's open. But if you were to privatize everything, I think a lot of opportunities can exist that we don't even understand yet.
Oh, exactly. I'll throw this one at Crux. Do you know much about Ondo?
I know a lot about Ondo. So Ondo initially started off with like two different use cases. You have OUSG and then OMMF. And then you have actually a third. So it's USDY. That's like their stable coin. Eventually, they're going to push everything into something called Ondo chain, or the Omni chain, and that should launch hopefully Q3, Q4 this year. But there's no tentative date yet, so don't take my word on that. But eventually, they'll have their own layer one. Currently, Ondo is interoperable amongst, I think, 11 different networks from Sui to Solana. And the big question everyone asks me is, why is this thing even a thing? Right? People are tokenizing on all these different blockchains. They don't need an Ondo token. But what I see is if BlackRock has BUIDL, which is like their treasury, and they have Ondo has a product called AllUSG, which is backed by BUIDL, then BlackRock's eventually going to buy these tokens to help decentralize the network. So that's what I see is people are going to tokenize on the network, and they're going to buy the Ondo token to essentially protect other companies like Fidelity, et cetera, that are also going to tokenize from having too much governing rights to affect their products only. So that's one thing. And then secondly, you have the main competitor, which is StockX. They have something called X points. And I think eventually Ondo is going to have to be able to compete. So Ondo is going to need to add utility to this token. And that's why I think Ondo right now is a steal. What we're looking for is a blockchain that's working, which Ondo has tokenized, I think, over $800 million worth of stocks. And it started in September of last year. and it's just on a tear right now. And this thing is doing well, and it doesn't have the use cases yet. So you're still able to buy it for fractions on a penny. And then essentially, I think there's no better product in all of crypto that's going to actually benefit more than Ondo Finance in terms of what the Clarity Act can provide. Because we've already been told by the CFTC chair that, well, actually, we got told by Paul Atkins that the only securities that exist in crypto are going to be regular securities like stocks, et cetera. So Ondo, they're going to keep tokenizing, and that value, I think the Ondo token is going to get a lot more use cases over these years.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything below $1 for Ondo is a crazy good deal, in my opinion. But
yeah, for sure.
You guys have thoughts on Ondo? Rue, Max?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, I cover Ondo from time to time. I usually include it with what I'm sharing in regard to like Ripple, right? Because there was a big announcement. I'm sure you guys saw it maybe a week or two ago. Heck, didn't we cover it at the Coin Vault, right? Like literally mentions, tokenizing with Ripple, and they both recognize each other, to say the least. So there's so much common ground there, right? But anyway, I don't cover it so much on its own, but I do definitely include it as like complementary.
Mm-hmm.
I know we mentioned something about them in the Coin Vault video, I think a couple of days ago, but we know Zebec is partnered with them when it comes to USDY, right? And I know they say that possibly you're not able to use stable coins with yield in the US because of the Genius Act, but let's just say they use it because we know Zebec is a global company. They use it elsewhere, right? That means you can have your money in pure liquid on your card, and it's earning interest in yield in that stable coin on your card. That's freaking amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing.
What's crazy is you'll be able to buy like Ondo stocks directly through MetaMask, and as you're holding it, you're still able to get these yields. So everything's going to be plugged right into the wallet to where you can actually buy the stocks and you get yield on it without even doing anything. You're just holding it. It's crazy.
Nice. Is this you, Max?
Yeah, that's part of my intro. I was
no.
saying it.
Oh,
Check
no.
Go ahead. Elizabeth.
Gary, I don't think we keep misleading everyone. They're catching on.
I don't think we keep misleading everyone. They're catching on. And you got the XRP 589 on the MIT board. Anyway.
I said, I think I said yesterday that they're going to Scooby-Doo Elizabeth Warren one of these days. They're going to rip her mask off. It's going to be Gary Gensler in disguise. Have you ever seen the two of them in the same room at the same time? I don't think so.
Right? I think not.
I don't think we're ever going to see Gary again, honestly.
But also, guys, to add to that, once they get the agentic AI set up with these treasuries and whatnot, I think you'll have your own agent that'll be trading your tokenized stocks on your wallet. Mm-hmm. So it'll manage your funds for you and trade in and out of stocks however you programmed it to, right?
I think one day, I'm sure y'all have heard of AIXBT. That's like, I think really the main AI agent that got people on the know in Twitter. But I think eventually, and at one point it was like $200,000 worth of tokens to access like the back end of this thing. I think eventually the people who have access to the elite AI agents that are based off the biggest data sets or the most trained data sets are going to be the AI agents that are just wrecking havoc on all these other ones that are free or people are using for trials. But I think eventually we're going to have like this big war that's happening with all these AI agents. And until
good Lord, look at the Overledger, 3,000 plus AI agents, right? Anyway.
Gosh, dog. Yeah, until like that big war happens, I'm not going to allow my AI agents to handle too much of my funds. So we will see.
Right, freaking Skynet, right? Yeah.
And then it's interesting you mentioned that because there's so many auxiliary things around that. You got like Junction and Theta, where they're providing inference and GPU to people who need it, like universities, so they can do AI at a cheaper cost. You got NVIDIA, Microsoft, they're trying to build all these data centers, and you got precious metals that are needed for all of these data centers. So there's so much that's around that, guys. And there's so much opportunity for us there as investors.
Yeah, definitely.
Max, is this you sharing again?
Yeah, this was from the earlier intro on the recorded video today. It's worth sharing because we talked about the BIS.
Let's see if they can figure out this riddle.
Riddle.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not him with a big plate of food, Max. No.
Get him dirty.
Hey man, I like a big plate of food too. I mean, I get a lot of. I guess it is what it is. It is.
What do you guys? Let me ask you this: what do you guys think of Charles Hoskinson saying today that he thinks Cardano has the advantage? He says Cardano has the edge in the race for dominance in DeFi, to dominate Bitcoin in DeFi.
I think he's lost the plot. So Mark Cuban earlier said Bitcoin lost the plot. Anyways, so Charles Hoskinson definitely lost the plot. The liquidity doesn't exist for that to be true. So Cardano is going to need more than $30 million or whatever is currently liquid on that network to be able to handle DeFi whenever you have perp dexes that are crushing it right now. So I think until Cardano is able to get that stablecoin liquidity, there is no DeFi.
And that's where.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, to answer your question, it's just good thing that Charles Hoskinson is not a politician, right? Because he would be flip-flopping left and right? We saw in the past, he, does the whole thing. Oh, I apologize to the whole XRP army, especially like right after Trump got into office again, after, was it January 2025? And then what did we see a few months back? He, actually not even a few months back, about a month ago, month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. He's right at it again, right? So he's extremely intelligent, don't get me wrong. And I understand the gripe he has, right? We talked about the coin vault, but I'm with Crux on that. You will have a liquidity problem. Who better to suit the needs for your liquidity other than Ripple with their main product of what? The ODL, on-demand liquidity. Come on.
How many times has he attacked the XRP community now? Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why, he should. Good thing he's not a politician. I know that he loves RFK Jr. Don't get me wrong, right? But if he ever enters politics, it's gonna be a problem, right?
He would be the greatest politician of all time. He
the stereotypical politician. Yeah, I would agree with you on that with the flip flopping, right? Yeah.
Politician of all time. What's the Kevin Spacey character from that one Netflix drama?
Oh, House of Cards before it got canceled.
House of Cards. Yeah. Charles. That's Charles. House of Cards, Kevin Spacey is Charles.
You know what? You guys saw with the AI there. Maybe I'll do that next time, right? I like that.
You should. That'd be so dope, bro.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Cardano that I'm kind of stumped by this project at this point. I have nothing against Cardano. I've always been a fan of Cardano to a degree, but I can't name a single project off the top of my head that's building on their network. Like, I don't know what.
Midnight really stands out, right? I mean,
they're not. Is that a project?
Midnight's a side chain. It's not. It was built by IOHK, but it's a separate chain and it's interoperable. So
that's true. I remember when people, and don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this too a little bit. Remember Sunday Swap, how they made a big deal about things like that, but that never really took off compared to other DEXs and whatnot, right? So,
the liquidity wasn't there. So if I pair my ADA with USDC over there, the rewards just aren't what they could be.
And a lot of projects left Cardano for other blockchains.
However,
I can say this about what Charles said. There are a lot of people that are dyed-in-the-wool faithful to Cardano.
Yeah, for sure. They have a very strong cult community, but I mean, XRP is a cult community. There's a lot of cult communities that have a reason for believing in these things. But whenever your biggest projects like Iagon, for example, their founder just recently got in a big fight with Charles Hoskinson. So Charles Hoskinson, he's been having issues even internally. It's not even outside. So I'm kind of just waiting on that one. I'm not buying any more ADA. I hold ADA, But
Yeah, I hold it too. I've been holding it for a long time, and I
yeah.
know Rue, you became legendary with when you first got into it, bro. Was it like a penny or something like that
It was
originally?
like 2 cents,
Oh my
and I
gosh!
wrote it up
Wow.
to $1. This was like way early in my like career, way
So
early.
even at 2 cents to $1, it's a 50x. One, I mean that's basic math. So that's incredible, bro. Right on.
So
Yeah,
it's really, the hype. It was really the hype. Like if you think about it, it's that Sunday swap versus min swap, like that huge like programmability race when it got added, smart contracts. But like they became really good money, and it honestly they're top 5 in decentralization, top 5 in security, and top 5. Well, I'm not going to add the scalability piece, but if they use midnight, they could be a top 5 for scalability. So it is really good money. What it's not is like the best DeFi blockchain or the best programmable blockchain.
Right.
Yeah, it's, you know, I was a big believer in Cardano back in 2021. Right? I was like, yeah, I same thing as Rue, right? I got into it, and you know, I was all about it, man. But it's just kind of been underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean anything that only got what 33% back. It got to 310. It only got to $1.10. So it got like 33% back to its all-time high. It's scary because like, is it going to have its XRP moment? Probably not, because XRP was stifled by the SEC. So it had to sit out a bull run. I don't think like Cardano had a good excuse to sit out this last bull run, but I mean, we will see. Anything can happen.
I guess the best thing they have working for them is that they have an American cryptocurrency, and you know, they have a very, very loyal community. With Midnight, it's a zero knowledge proof technology. That's good. So, you know, maybe they can turn it around.
And they're pushing for quantum resistance on it as well, which is
I
interesting.
think that's just I think honestly that's just kind of like a marketing thing, right? I mean, everyone that seems to, you know, want attention starts talking about quantum hacking and, you know, like this. Oh, we're resistant to it. It's like, my opinion, if quantum computing can hack, you know, Bitcoin and all this stuff, we've got bigger problems like nuclear weapons and things like that. You know, if at the end of the day,
right, medical records and all of that.
Right.
Bank accounts.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that. And David Schwartz has pointed out some of these things, Rob, where he felt as though that's so distant. Like we're talking maybe 20, maybe 40 years. I'm sure some of you guys have seen some of his posts on X that he talked about. But he said that we can actually make ourselves quantum resistant as we speak with XRP. Through cold storage. And of course, we all promote cold storage, things like the DCENT Wallet and so on. I know it sounds like a commercial at this point, but he just pointed out, like, you set up your cold storage, in this case, like the DCENT Wallet, where nothing goes in, once it goes in, then it's kind of like you take the key and you throw it away,
right?
Not figuratively speaking, but once it goes in, then that's it. Nothing goes out.
But then it's like
doing so, you create a sense of quantum resistance by doing that.
Right. But then you just can't spend your money because the second
who's
you
spending XRP, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I have a separate portfolio for like, you know, short-term stuff, but for my long-term play, if I'm gonna lock it up anyway through cold storage, what's the point in getting, you know, hey, I want to lock this away on cold storage, right? And I'm gonna let it sit there for a while before we can see mass adoption. So for me, it's like, hey, I'm already there. So why don't we just recognize that? Yeah.
It's an extra security layer I never thought was even going to be required.
I didn't either. I didn't until we saw from him. I mean, come on, who better to understand it than the guy that literally wrote, you know, in patents dating back to, was it 1988, 1989, long before Bitcoin, right? I mean, let's face it. I mean, that was DLT before we called it DLT, or we called blockchain before blockchain, right? So that was interesting. We also, I share this also on Maximus Crypto. Hedera in the documents literally says quantum proof or quantum resistance. So that's another one. And again, back to what you guys were talking about with Cardano, these are like ISO 222 compliant coins and tokens, right? Anyway,
something that can really benefit. Remember the digital asset stockpile? I know it didn't like really go into fruition. Donald Trump, President Trump, he added like 5 different cryptos. It was like Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and like I think maybe those 4. I think eventually made in America cryptocurrencies could get a benefit. And if it does, Cardano should take off.
Yeah,
Well,
I
let's
know.
shift. I was going to say just real quick. Let's
Oh,
shift.
Cardano
because-
was added.
Well,
to
I was
it.
going to say that, yeah, there was. That is true. But
Yeah.
again, back to Solana, right? So what makes Zebec so special? Well, again, think about this. Zebec is part of the Solana ecosystem. And to my knowledge, unless I'm wrong here, Rue, right, or you gather something else, I am pretty sure Zebec is the only ISO 222 compliant project on the Solana ecosystem. That separates itself from the pack. Like, we could talk all day long about ZBCN. I mean, even on Maximus Crypto, there's a lot of people that don't hold it, and it is what it is. But my God, I mean, they just got all the plugs and connections, man.
Indeed. And I think we will see something with that digital asset stockpile in the executive order that Trump just mentioned on May 19th. He brings that up in that little briefing, right? The stockpile. I know one of the things we shared on a Coin Vault as well, Max, something from Arizona State, where Arizona is going to do a stockpile, their own stockpile. And one of the cryptos they mentioned in there is Near, which is now at $2.09. So, which is another, I think they consider Near also an American cryptocurrency. So there we go with that as well.
Yeah, let's read this comment. It's the last one. I'm not saying this is the last comment you guys can do. Jay Mills says Zebec is going to be right along XRP in the tops. Just watch. There's a reason the riddles of XRP showed a ship the whole time. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you're following some of those riddles. We saw, obviously, Bearable Guy. Basically, he unmasked himself, right? That I don't know if you guys saw that with he was featured over on Jay Claver. Yep, yeah. He unmasked himself. Another guy, shout out to, he may join us at some point, maybe here. I've been doing some collabs, going to be doing some more collabs with him, and that is, you guys probably met him down in XRP Vegas. Shout out to Mr. Man XRP, right? He did the unmasking as well. So, but anyway, yeah, the riddles, right? So when we look at those ships, they definitely look at like Zebec ships, as pointed out from Bearable Guy, 1, 2, 3, right? And even in the background, when we saw, the Beef Bourguignon, there's a Zebec ship. There's just too many little hints, and I think they like messing with us. So,
going back to the quantum computing hacking thing, you know what it reminds me of? When AI started becoming popular in crypto, and then all of a sudden every single project started adding AI tag to their, even in the most loosely parallel way possible that they could possibly connect themselves with the tag, they were doing it. It kind of reminds me of that. The whole quantum resistant thing is kind of the same thing, right? It's like, how can we, run parallel to this so we can, so it's
to have a good catalyst.
How about this one, Rob? Gluten free. Like they would tag stuff that's normally gluten free. They would put gluten free on it just to charge more. Like, I'm sorry, there's no gluten in that vegetable. It's like gluten free now.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to you, brother. When you eventually go to like Germany, and you're gonna go look at some of those people, and it'd be like Gluten Tag, the Liechtenstein Exchange. Anyway, kidding.
Yeah. So there was one more thing I kind of wanted to cover. Oh, yes, I got tagged in something on X this evening, and this has been kind of a contention point for me personally. This whole narrative that Ethereum's dying. I'm sorry, but I just don't see it, right? I mean, we're talking about moving into the tokenization of treasuries, of bonds, of everything, stocks, right? Mm-hmm. And like 75% of tokenization's happening on Ethereum or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's somehow got the narrative that it's dying? How is that?
Yeah, it comes from other influencers and so on. Maybe I've been guilty of it in the past, but I've learned some things myself, right? If we're closed-minded and we're not open to learn new things, then it's just like you're not gaining wisdom, right, in this case. Mm-hmm. So I want to address is like, again, think about gas. Everybody's going to mention Ethereum and gas fees, right? But I don't know if you guys seen some of the latest documents, and if anything, have gone literally through Ethereum lately. As we're talking like maybe the last 2-3 months, the gas fees on Ethereum is significantly cheaper compared to it was like back in 2021 or 2022, entering the crypto winter back when everybody was still like, oh my God, meme coin craze and so on. Yeah, say what you want. It's kind of like, the tried and tested ones. And again, Quant, they get a lot of criticism, like why didn't they go with XRC20, which is through XDC network? That would have been a lot more faster and efficient, and it's a common complaint. I did a show a while back, same with Rue, right? We collaborated with a great researcher, Tokenizer. One of his last collabs he did with me, he pointed out, yeah, you know what? It's not so much about being the fastest. It's also about the one that's the battle-tested one, and of course the one that can still scale. So even though we complain about like Ethereum, oh, it's slow and so on, guess what? There is layer 2s. I mean, even Jasmine was ERC20. What did they go out and do? They recognize the complaints. They recognize that, look, if you want true scalability, you're not going to get it done just with classic ERC20. So what do? They literally created Junction. And that is their layer 2 scaling solution built on the Optimism stack. So again, I just shake my head every time, even though this is not Jasmine coverage, because it's like then people will be like, well, you don't have interoperability, Stan. This is why I was so gung-ho, like, well, then go with Quant, because Quant clearly got the thing with Bank of Japan, et cetera, et cetera. They went with, of course, Chainlink, but you think about why did they go with Chainlink? Well, for one, that met their needs. So you have interoperability, you have layer 2 scaling solutions, and other projects, and Rob, you covered this numerous times on your show as well. Projects will recognize the layer 2s and so on, but again, I got to go back to Quant, because Quant says, yeah, okay, hold my beer. We have over Ledger Fusion layer 2.5, which allows plug and play for both layer 1s and layer 2s, and that in itself, that's game changer. That separates it from the pack, and currently speaking, that means you monopolize an infrastructure that nobody else has. And oh, by the way, they have the patents on all this, and I believe they don't expire until about roughly 2035, 2036. You don't think they're going to update that then? You better believe it, because they have a guy that heads the whole thing with 20 plus years of cybersecurity experience. That's the man, the myth, the legend, Gilbert Verdun.
Yeah, like trying to create a blockchain without it being EVM compatible, you're going to end up like Cardano. So Cardano, not EVM compatible, and look at the adoption and how difficult it is. Like, you don't even have Chainlink in your network.
We sound like a bunch of fudders on Cardano, if you really think.
I mean,
I'm not. I hold
one
it too.
blockchain not to FUD. It is Ethereum. Ethereum's proven more, in my opinion, than any other network in all of crypto, and it's easy to say that. It's done stuff like it's went from a proof of work network to proof of stake. No other network has done that. And it's done a lot of things, and it has failed certain things. So it said, like, we're going to make people use our network, so then they're going to have a deflationary token because less Ethereum are going to be there over time. That didn't happen. Everyone started using these layer 2s. But it helped with the gas fees like you just talked about. But I think ultimately my take on Ethereum is eventually, as the blob throughputs increase, it's going to help with the scalability of the layer 1. So people are going to less use the layer 2s. The issue with the price action in this last bull market, where it didn't even get to $5,000, is because the layer 2 competitive. So people were buying Optimism, Arbitrum, Matic, etc., as opposed to Ethereum. By 2030, Vitalik Buterin already put out a roadmap. He says the blob throughput's going to be really good, and at that point, we should, no longer have to rely on L2s as heavily. So that's my take on it. I think Ethereum's done a phenomenal job, like focusing decentralization and scalability. Those are by far the most important parts of the trilemma. And then they'll add that third piece of scalability into the layer 1 over time.
Crux, you know your stuff. You're the real McCoy, man. I got to admit, you know your stuff. You're well studied up on it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's tied at the hip with Ripple. Like, it's not going. It's not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, speaking about the Ethereum gas fees, I remember vividly 2021 cycle. You guys remember the when the Shiba Inu NFT collection came out?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I was looking at, because I was considering buying one. I didn't own any NFTs at the time, and I was like, this one maybe I'll grab, right? So I went and I was watching, and the people were paying at the time on Ethereum $1,000 in gas fees.
Dang.
Just to bid on the NFT, and if you didn't win the bid, you still had to pay that $1,000 gas fee, right? I was like, no, thanks, man.
Yeah, I paid $80 to buy some sheep. So I mean that was a gas fee at the time. That's what I had to pay. So
Oh, brother, I hear you, and I'm sure Rob and Rue can attest this. I mean, especially early 2022. I think it was right after the time of the Russia-Ukraine invasion, or the war broke out. There were some memes I got into. My God, I mean, I remember one in particular. I was like, I have to have this particular one. So I, of course, got into it, and should have waited till like roughly 2:00 in the morning or whatever, when the gas fees would have been significantly down, because network congestion would have been not as bad. But nonetheless, I paid I think it was 300, maybe 350, give or take, in gas fees. Oh yeah. But
that's crazy.
as the saying goes, sometimes the FOMO is real, right? So.
Yeah. No, NFTs were like the craze back then too, like absolutely insane.
And it could happen again.
I'm still debating.
It could totally
happen
again.
It could. It really could.
So this is the thing, right? So backstage, we're going to tell on ourselves real quick, Rob. So on my own, I covered, here and there, Uniswap. I've been in and out of Uniswap numerous times since 2021 to present. But we're looking to probably cover a little bit more Uni. Say what you want, they have updated how they do their contracts. And when I look into when we talk about memes, I know some people don't want me to mention memes, but let's face it, they're still going to be around until somebody says they're not. And that means degens, whatever you want to call us, and so on, they're going to jump into some of these things, and they're going to pick the platforms that stand out, where they could save the most money, and of course is ease of access. Again, I pointed this out a while back, I think at least 2 years. So Uniswap, I'm sure you guys have seen the most popular contract they have, which is Uniswap V2. They had, of course, Uniswap V3, but the one that stood out for me moving forward is Uniswap V4. And the reason for that is you save 99% on those gas fees. Again, keep in mind, those gas fees on Ethereum, they're not as much as they used to be. So moving forward, again, would you have a next wave cycle of whether it's memes or maybe ones with utility or whatever the case be, and again, having liquidity pour back into Uniswap? I think the answer is yes. And that's why I kind of, again, hold some of these things. Go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, what needs to happen for that to take place, and I do agree, it's an eventuality and it's inevitable, is the degens need to come back from the prediction markets and get back into, hey, let's go back into NFTs, or let's go look at meme coins again, right? It'll happen eventually. The pendulum will swing the other way. A lot of degens are over in the the poly markets and Kelshis and stuff like that right now. But and I'm not saying that those markets are going to fade away, because they won't. But the pendulum will swing the other way, where they'll kind of phase down a little bit, and it'll average out in terms of popularity and usage. Me personally, I'm a little frustrated with the prediction markets up to this point, because you can't invest in them. You can only utilize them to gamble, essentially, right? Because I've been looking for a way, but now that we're looking at this possible ETFs for like poly market and stuff, that is a way to be able to invest into the prediction markets, not gamble in the prediction markets. And that's what I've been looking for, right? So I'm excited for that bridge to kind of come out.
Nice. Poly market, that's created on Polygon, right? Do they have their own token?
No, they don't. But the SEC is looking into it right now about a possible ETF for prediction markets. So, because you can, like you just said, you can't buy a token for poly market or Kelshi. You can't buy a stock.
Maybe Robinhood. Like Robinhood would probably be the closest, but it's super diluted. I'm sure the valuation's high. What were you going to say, Rue?
We're at the point of no return with prediction markets. They're like little kids now betting on games.
Yeah, those are not in the meme coin phase. That is going to go up and right until somebody comes in and regulates this stuff. Because people, like literally, we had a United States soldier, bet on himself and then go and take a president from a country. We are seeing some crazy stuff going on. So they're going to have to regulate this stuff.
You can't just do that, and he does it. Eh?
in the Super Bowl, like every single Super Bowl, there's going to be the streaker, and we already know there's going to be the streaker, and it still happens. Like
People
you're gonna
act
have
like
to-
this is all new, and me myself. I mean, I used to be a history teacher, and I'm like, it's not all new. Hello, you
What do
know,
you mean?
George.
Were you
Hello, hello, George H.W. Bush. Hello, the whole thing of the invasion of Nicaragua, and we took out. We went there. We did the same thing with
Oh yeah,
Manuel Noriega. I mean,
absolutely.
people act like, oh, this is all brand new, and this has never happened before. Come on, this is why we need to reference history, period.
Bro, Gen Z with the E stuff. I'm like, bro, we've talked about that 5 years ago. They were like, oh my God, this is so shocking. I'm like,
it kind of is shocking. We're just numb to it. That's all it is. Like it, yeah.
Russ, were you referring to the streaker
At the Super Bowl?
No, I think it was at a soccer game. I don't know if you guys heard this story. This guy, he put out a thing on, I think it's a Polymarket or whatever, that there was going to be a streaker at this soccer game, and he put like, I don't even know, like a ton of money on it, right? And the odds were against it, and he put a ton of money that it was going to happen, and then he went and streaked on the field and won a crap ton of money.
Right. Yeah. They're gonna have to regulate this stuff.
Yeah.
I think you got a super chat that came in, or hold on a second. Oh, I apologize. That was from earlier. My bad. I just want to make sure that I didn't mess up on it. I'm going through 4 different tabs, and I thought I saw one. By all means, continue.
Yeah, I don't know how they can justify paying that guy out, to be honest with you. Like,
I mean, if they don't, they're gonna probably have a lawsuit on their hands. But I think again, there's gonna have to be some regulation that figures all of this out, because people are, if something, for example, somebody figured out like they can bet on the price of like this area in Europe. I forget exactly what area in Europe. He found like where they do the temperature reading, and he brought a blow dryer and he put it on like the meter, so it went up. And it's like, yeah, people are going to manipulate this stuff. Yeah. And I don't know how they're going to regulate it, but maybe you just hold it to sports betting, or you can only bet on like certain things. But
well, they're going to have to put somewhere in the fine print, like, if you're caught doing something like that, then you forfeit your winnings or something. It's probably under the terms of agreements that you'll have to click on when you use the platform or something like that.
You're right. You're 100%. Because, I mean, we talk about prediction markets. We talk about, obviously, insider trading. Come on. It's not insider. At this time, you're going to run out on that field and you're going to do this. And if anything, we have a 100% chance that we're going to make a killing, make a ton of money. That's beyond insider knowledge. That's just like, that's beyond prediction. That's literally like, as Charles Barkley would say on TNT and now I guess ESPN, guaranteed, right? So there you go.
Yeah, and also it's sometimes it can be dangerous. People were betting, I think, on the astronauts living, as they come back.
Yeah.
It's like you could, I'm not going to go there with that, but it can get very manipulative.
Yeah, it's questionable. I also wanted to jump back over when we were talking about Sunday swap on Cardano. It got me thinking about, I get asked altcoin requests all the time on my live streams. A lot of times it's like dexes that pop up, like these new dexes on Ethereum or whatever the case might be, and people ask, well, what do you think about the native token for this dex or that dex? And for me, I mean, we've come to a point now where dexes mean nothing in an ecosystem to me. It's more of just something that has to be there. It's like a tool you need to have in the ecosystem, obviously, but outside of that, it doesn't add any. Like, how many meme coins have we seen over the years? Oh, they're Shiba Inu is a perfect example. Oh, we're creating a dex, so we're going to pass Ethereum in market cap, right? Because it's we're making a dex, and it's like, it's just like
the launch pad,
yeah. For me, if you're looking at a DEX coin, whether it's new or whatever the case might be, especially if it's on like Ethereum, right? The best, I don't want to say advice because it's not financial advice, but the best tip I could give you is what makes it any different than any of the other hundreds and hundreds of DEXs that have launched on Ethereum? That's what you have to ask. What separates this project so that it's not just white noise?
I'm glad you bring that up because
That's
that's a good point. It's saturated at this point. There is a lot of dexes. I mean, speaking of which, so let's talk about like the meme coin phase, especially 2021, early 2022. For me, when I was starting to get into some of the memes, like in 2021, very earlier in 2021, I remember, and I always use this joke, I was fresh off the boat of Robinhood, right? I was wet behind the ears, to say the least, and getting alts because my only exposure was 2016. Like I was into Bitcoin and held that, of course, to 2021. The rest of history. I don't want to get into that, but again, got in SHIB, got into Doge. So Doge was so easy, right? For most people, you just went to Robinhood. It's a piece of cake, but it was so intimidating. The whole thought of like, oh, if I want to get like Shiba Inu or some of these other ones, or part of the ecosystem, I need to go through like Uniswap. And then people are like, they sit on it and then they don't do anything. But here's the key thing. At that time, there wasn't really many DEX. And so as a result, supply and demand kicked in for those particular ones that were available. And so where I'm going with the whole thing is recognizing the next wave. So it's not about like, again, back to what Rob was saying about like, do we have 100 DEXs? Or we have this Ethereum DEX and that one, and so on. It's recognizing the next wave, especially with AI, which ones would stand out that would create a sense of like originality or demand, right? Compared to just being another DEX.
Right.
Those are the ones we want to pay attention to, because if there's something unique in that model, in that infrastructure, again, it's as simple as supply and demand forces being at stake or being there. And that's why I think we talk about hyperliquid, because again, when you look at hyperliquid, it's like, you know what? We can throw the whole topic of DEX and exchange and all that there. But then you have the incorporation of like things like DTCC, and get capital markets, you bring, even stocks. I think I cover a course on the Patreon. I went into a deep dive about them, but we see them doing their thing, and I think they're going to continue to do that. I think from here, again, not financial advice. Wait for a pullback, please, guys. I hate when I see people get wrecked on FOMOing into things at the top. But yeah. Anyway, I'm glad we're talking about other things, especially DEXs and whatnot. You make some great points, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, the community aspect of meme coins really is such a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, it's great because it builds up the project, and there's a lot of gains to be made as a result if you can get in early. But it is also this toxic thing that gets a lot of new people in crypto sucked in, and they start believing the stuff that's being said in the communities. Like, well, like I said before, we're launching a DEX, so we're going to go parabolic, or we're doing this little thing, or there's an NFT coming out for the project, or we're creating a game, or whatever the case might be, right? And it's like, for me personally, how I use meme coins is really very cut and dry. If I happen to get in on a meme coin and I make money, I 2, 3, maybe 4x my money, I sell it, and I use that to buy my utility plays as dry powder. Don't ever get sucked into, this is a lifetime hold that's going to pass Ethereum in market cap, and it's dangerous for new people in crypto.
It is very dangerous for new people in crypto, and I'm glad that we as a community can point some of these things out. Real quick, Rue, you have a question from a lady from your community. If you want to read this is from XBrightYesX. It says, hi, Ruel and Maximus. You want to read that?
Sure. I watch you all the time and love your shows. With Zebec playing an integral role in payroll, do you think it'll eventually go to $1? Honestly, I do eventually think it'll go to $1. There's so many different verticals that it hits, right? There's no reason to think that it couldn't, right? Treasury, spending, instant payments, the spending with the card, investing, lending, right? There's so many verticals there that it can
streamlining
hit.
Payroll. Oh, no big deal, right?
There we go, right? So yeah, now that's another question.
So you're saying by the end of the year?
Absolutely
heard.
not.
That's
How
what
dare
I
you,
heard.
Rob? How
Right?
dare you, Rob? How dare you, Canadian juggernaut?
Right? He is the Canadian juggernaut. Anyway.
Anyway, guys, I think that we're about running out of time. We're just clocking in on the 2-hour time frame. This was a good one. Had a lot of fun, a lot of good topics covered. Crux, appreciate you coming in as always, man. We'll hope to have you on all the time, man.
Yeah, definitely. Learning a lot, especially about Zebec and XLM and some of these other like ISO 2022 compliant cryptocurrencies. This is a good group. And honestly, so there's many different groups in crypto where you go from like your meme coiners, we just talked about them, to like these gems and stuff like that. But I think from like this group here, you'll understand what the bulk of your majority of your portfolio should be in. So you may hear about a Dogecoin, you may hear about a Toshi or a Shiba Inu, but max 10% of your portfolio should be in those memes, max. And then like the bulk majority should be in the Bitcoins, Ethereums, and what else we just talked about in this live stream. So thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely,
No problem.
man.
Sure.
I do need to recognize the super chat before we close things out from Purple Rain over Maximus Crypto. He says, "Oh no, ship going to $1. Buy it quick. Last chance was the craze back in around 2022. Definitely need to uncover uniqueness instead of a blind buys." Yeah, I remember that. And this is again where people are fresh off the boat of Robinhood. I think I was able to at least understand that. And not to give myself a pat on the back, I'm a very humble person. But yeah, brother, I totally recognize the whole phase of like, oh, never sell ship. It's going to go to $1. For one, that's where it's like, yeah, you're talking about all the entire world's GDP times like something like 4 or 5. That's not happening. And so people are like, but we could burn it. And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, go on.
Keywords in there. Shibarium, burn.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I saw the other narrative, like a penny. And I think that's where a lot of that liquidity came in. I need to mention this real quick. Think about how many people don't know about tokenomics. They don't know jack daily squat about crypto. And again, you're fresh off the boat of Robinhood. You're wet behind the ears. And this is what you're thinking. Because I did this. I'll tell a little bit on myself, right? So I'm willing to bet there's at least anywhere from 80 to 90% of people at that time did this exact same thing. And what they did is they made a bunch of money in Doge. I did. I came in at a penny, right? But I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't listen to everybody. Everyone's like, "Oh, Doge is going to go to $1." Again, another narrative, right? Mm-hmm. When I saw that thing go to, I think it was like roughly 73 cents. I got out at roughly 71 cents because I was just like,
nice work.
Yeah.
So you sold the SNL skit. It was like Elon Musk on SNL sell. Nice.
Brother, let me tell you something. I got into it at roughly $300, and then I cashed out at roughly 24K in that area.
Nice.
Of course, I got in again, but my point is, even with Shiba Inu, okay, this is the point I'm trying to make. So when Shiba Inu came along, I was just like, all right, I think everybody does this. I swear, I think everybody does this at this time. Yeah. They say in their head, my God, because they're like, oh man, excitement, euphoria. They say, I'm a master. Look at me. Dude, raise the roof. I'm going to go to where they have listings. So then you go to coinmarketcap.com. Then you go to like CoinGecko or wherever it plays. But immediately, what did we do? We go there like, I want to find all these memes that are under a penny because I'm going to buy a whole bunch of this. So in my head, and I've seen other people do this too, I'm like, all right, how am I going to go? I got all this money I just did with the Doge. So guess what I'm going to do? I am going to find projects that are under a penny, more than under a penny. And when I saw SHIB, I was like, oh my gosh, man, I'm going to buy, I'm going to take some of these profits and I'm going to put it over to SHIB and I'm going to buy, oh my God, I could buy 1 billion of these. Oh my God, if it goes to a penny. Oh my goodness.
We were all that young at one point in time. In the
exactly, right? And I was like, I'm going to be worth $10 million. And if it goes to a half a penny, I'm going to be worth $1 billion. And then I'm going to be going to Detroit and 8 Mile and be like that one guy and be like, and then we're going to get old. You know what I mean? But no, that's not the case, right? Because the tokenomics don't work like that. But nonetheless, here's the kicker. So when everybody was like, oh, it's going to go to at least a penny, and all that, I saw on the chart, I was paying attention to the charts. I'm not as good at charts with you guys as you guys are. I was paying attention to the charts, and I was like, this is now at the top. the top of the top. And I was like, this thing's going to bust just like Doge did. And guess what I did? I rode up my 8K investment to 88K, and it was legendary because that year of 2021, I turned 10K into 120K, right? And so my third top performer, of course, was Crow. Didn't make as much as in that, but I came in roughly, I think it was like 14 to 17 cents, give or take, through 1,700 into that. And the same thing, people were like, oh, that's going to go to $1. I rode that up to about, I think, 90 cents, did the same thing, got out, and boy, oh boy, I had about, I would say, close to 10K in profit in that one. Anyway, 10K and 120K, the rest is history. I did better back in early 2025 in this cycle, of course. But nonetheless, anyway, I just think most people do that. And I know that's a long explanation, and Rob's probably like, my food's getting cold. But nonetheless, I do appreciate your Purple Rain. And I love what you said there with the, oh no, ship going to the dollar, buy it quick. Yeah, people will continue to do these type of narratives, and they won't just do it in memes. They'll do it with utility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we need to reference history. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our experiences. Do we not? Yeah.
Well,
Indeed.
all my years in crypto, quite a few cycles now, I've only hit the top on one project ever, and it was not skill. It was pure dumb luck, and it was Shiba Inu. Same thing. I got into it, and it felt like I held forever. I got into it before they gave half the supply to Vitalik Buterin, and like that whole thing. And I held and held. I think I held it for like.
I remember that, Rob. I was with you. That you're talking about before they gave it to. Sorry to interrupt, but like I think that was. I literally memorized these charts in my head. This is how obsessed I was with SHIB at that time. So before that whole thing with, I believe it was in light of, don't want to mention the word, I'll just say pandemic, right? Not going to say the C word. But before that wave, it was because of India, remember? And so they gave those tokens to him. And then I think on the chart, it was either April or May of 2021. You had that huge jump. The second major wave for me was, I came in right before that. And then, of course, I was hearing all this narrative like, oh, it's going to go to $1. It's going to go to a penny and so on. I wrote it out. And then when I heard that Coinbase did the listing for SHIB, of course, that's when SHIB went to all-time highs. I was like, the heck with this. These people don't know what the heck they're talking about. And I'm going to pull a Kenny Rogers, right? I'm going to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. I'm going to count my money when I'm sitting at the table, baby. So there you go.
Yeah, they gave half the supply to Vitalik, and everyone was speculating on whether he was going to destroy it or send it to a burn wallet. And he ended up donating it, like you said, I think to some charity in India or something like that. And they slowly kind of sold it off. But I held, and then it was funny because it was about 9 days where SHIB was going parabolic. It was like 9 days in a row. I woke up and I was up just massively every day for 9 days. And I remember it vividly. I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to sell this because it's been running for like 9 straight days, right? And she was holding some too. So I sold mine that night. I woke up the next day, it was down like 45% from the high. And my wife, she was still holding hers. I said, you better sell it. Because this is still up big, right? You better sell that, right?
Oh, man.
So I just happened. Something just told me, something just told me, obviously, 9 days of straight parabolic run. If you can't figure it out at that point, right? You deserve to get round tripped kind of thing, right?
Well, here's the beautiful thing about it. And then later, because it dipped down, I was able to get back into it. So for originally, I came into like 6 zeros, and like a number, like I think it was like 7-4 something like that. And of course, the highest was 4 zeros, I think 8-8 or 8-9, right? So we could do the math on it all day, but yeah, I'm glad that it's interesting, our journey. Right, we all had a journey of how we got here. Like Rue, his story with Cardano, your story, common ground. Like you and I, we did the SHIB journey. But for me, something happened where it's a meme coin or utility that got us to where we're at. And I like sharing these journeys. I think it was pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah, story for another stream. But if you want to suffer a lot of anxiety, go watch the Dogecoin Millionaire on Netflix, the documentary of the Dogecoin guy. Have you guys?
I
watched
like
that?
that guy. He's a nice guy,
He's
man.
great.
Yeah, he's cool. And
Yeah,
that sucks
but-
what happened, though. Yeah.
But you want anxiety? Go watch it. You'll sit there all the time like, Sal.
I know. Is there any updates with him? I mean, how's he doing? I haven't seen him for like over a year or so.
I haven't heard anything from him.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. But as far as a person, he's a cool guy. I like that guy.
Rue, you got any final thoughts, buddy?
No, it's a pleasure, guys, as always.
Half asleep?
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Rue's working hard, freaking in the morning, his regular job, plus crypto. Man, Rue is an absolute machine. Shout out to you guys on the Rue crew, right? So, then again, I'm not on much sleep myself, but my days of working 3 jobs, 7 days a week are in my rear view. Thank you, Lord Jesus, to that. So I'm blessed in that regard. But anyway, Crux of Crypto. Come on, let's close it out with Crux. Let's share his channel. It's the least that we can do. Go over to Crux of Crypto. You know, we talk about on-demand liquidity, so I'm giving you some on-demand subscription. All right, go over to Crux of Crypto, everybody. Go, right? Like Palpatine, right? The new Star Wars coming out soon. You know, it doesn't have Palpatine in it. You know, Darth Sidious is like, do it. Give it to the Crux of Crypto, right? So do it, right? Go over there. Just do it, all right? Literally go over there. Give him a sub. I like this guy. He knows his stuff. I can always tell who's the real McCoy and who isn't. So if you guys also like deep dives and what we do here over at the Coin Vault / Maximus Crypto / Crypto Future, Blackrue and his whack ass crew got connection. Get that ass stuck like Lou. And you want to go over to Crux of Crypto, okay? All right. And if anything, consider smashing that like, everybody. If you're new to our coverage, consider subscribing. And last but not least, also consider, if you're on your phone, using some hype points. It's free. You get so many per month, and it just kind of helps us out and so on. But we really appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And Crux, it's been great. We look forward to having you back again, hopefully on a regular basis from what I gather. So anyway.
Thank you. Also, there is a video pinned on my YouTube channel, and it talks about losing 700K in 3 weeks. So I have a pretty good story as well over there. There's a ton you can learn from that video. And again, it's pinned over there on YouTube. And also how I turned 130K into $1.3 million in under 6 months. So tons of
guys, I told you, this guy's the real McCoy. So there you go. Awesome.
Yeah. Make sure you guys go sub. We're going to have to talk about that in another video, man.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely always down to create content with you guys, for sure.
You too.
All right, guys. To everyone who sent super chats and clicked the like and everything, thank you so much for supporting the channels. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys on Coin Vault. We'll see you on Monday. Deuces, ooses.
God bless.
Peace.